Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. In today's show, I got the latest news, rumors, and we're going to dive into a really cool one here about who are the Raiders potentially taking at pick number 12. I think it's going to be a wide receiver. That's why I'm giving it 3 Chucky heads, and I think it's pretty likely. Let's face it, it's our biggest need, and we can't go into next offseason wondering whether or not Derek Carr is the answer. So go out, get him one of the top wide receivers in the class because it's very deep. Now, here are my top 5 wide receivers, and this is how I have them ranked. I got CeeDee Lamb at 1, Judy 2, Henry Ruggs at 3. I think those are the only 3 receivers, me personally, that I would take at number 12. But I want you guys to throw in the comment section the receiver you want the Raiders to draft at number 12. Because if you go with Lamb, if you go with Judy, if you go with Ruggs, honestly, I don't really think you can miss on any of those options. So I'm trying to grow the fam here, okay? I love you all very much, and I love being able to come and do my job. I'm trying to get to 44K subscribers by 420. Some of you might think that's a little bit of some high hopes, but I know y'all can do it. Click that sub button. Tell your friends to subscribe. Let's get to 44K by 420. The next thing that I want to talk about is C.J. Henderson could actually be the first cornerback drafted in this year's class. And this is kind of according to Peter King because he said, I bet 40% of teams in the NFL have Henderson higher on their boards than Okudah. Maybe he's already kind of working with this whole 420 team we got going on because in my opinion, I think Okudah is the top cornerback in this year's class. So NBC then goes on to say, if the Peter King report is true, could Jeffrey Okudah actually fall to the Raiders at pick number 12? I'm going to give this one only 1 Chucky head. I think it's a small shred of truth, and if I could give it a freckle, I'd probably only give it a freckle because I still think that Okudah is going to go top 5, maybe top 8 in this year's class. He's just unbelievably talented, right? I mean, John Gruden literally asked him at the Combine, what planet are you from? He is my number 1 cornerback, and it has nothing against C.J. Henderson, who, if you guys have watched the show, you'll know that I've talked about the Raiders taking Henderson at 12. And you'll know that he was in my Combine winners video. I like Henderson. He's very talented. But when you're going up against Jeff Okudah, who I think is the clear-cut number 1 cornerback, I just feel kind of bad for Henderson because I don't really know if there's that much of a comparison. But let me just say this right now. If Jeffrey Okudah is sitting there at number 12, I would be doing backflips. You know what? Speaking of pick number 12, I asked you guys the other day, who's the one player you'd want? Y'all said CeeDee Lamb. So I'm going to make it a little bit tougher, okay? I want you to pick one. Jeff Okudah or CeeDee Lamb. And for those of you that are watching this video on YouTube, you might get hit with an ad break. While the ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and vote Jeff Okudah or CeeDee Lamb. Now, I watched Mike Mayock's audio interview. Can't really watch audio, but he said that day 3 is really important, if not just as important as day 1. Day 2 also is pretty important. And CBS broke down 5 players that the Raiders could target in round 3. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to talk about them. The first one, Amik Robertson. And I'll be honest, man, I would absolutely love Robertson because he is a Raider to me, a hard-playing dude. The past 3 years, look at those numbers. 14 interceptions, 34 pass breakups, ball skills for days. Now, he is a little bit undersized. His speed's average, and he does miss some tackles. But with the proper coaching, I think Robertson would be a great fit in our secondary. Let's go to Kyle Duggar. And if you're a loyal watcher, man, I love me some Kyle Duggar. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be there in round 3. I think since he just absolutely dominated at the Combine, he's going to go up there. Go watch his tape. You're looking at a D2 prospect who, honestly, at times looked bored playing. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, you're watching him, he's like, man, am I really here in D2? Duggar's an incredible athlete. I understand we already went out and got Demarius Randall. But if Duggar's sitting there for us in round 3, yeah, I'd love that. And if you want a new Raiders jersey, something that you might love, go to chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. This deal that you see on screen ends midnight tonight. So this one, Crosby, Josh Jacobs. If you want a Derek Carr jersey like me, go to chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. They also got a Hunter Renfrow one. They got some Darren Wallers. They got some old throwbacks as well. They're not just black jerseys. You can get the white ones too. Go to chatsports.com/Raiders jersey. I'll put it in the comments, and I'll put it in the description as well. Let's go to the MVP. Kind of. Kidding. Bad joke. I know. Lamar Jackson, cornerback from Nebraska, is the next player that CBS talked about. Rare size and length for a corner. However, I don't like him in his ability to play against play action and against the run. I like Lamar Jackson, but I think he's a little bit more of a day 3 pick. Maybe somebody the Raiders could target in round 4, maybe even round 5. The next player that CBS mentions is Bradley Anae. And man, I like Bradley Anae. I know people kind of rip on him because he's got short arms, but guess what? You want a player who's going to give it his all every single play? That's Anae. And I get it. The lack of weakness is something that I think could hurt him, especially in the NFL, because in college he was able to get away with him being athletic. He was able to get away with him being able to bull rush. Football IQ's there. You're looking at a very, very smart player who I think could really help change the Raiders culture. The last player that I'll talk about is Justin Matta, and Saul versus the run, and he's going to be able to get after the quarterback. He ran, look at that, 4.83 40-yard dash. That's freakish for a defensive lineman who's 6'3", 304 pounds. Now, once in a while, a little bit inconsistent. And I think every single time I say inconsistent and has upside, y'all are like, Arden Key. I get it. I still want Arden Key to be able to come around. But Matta to me, if he's there in round 3, I'd be very shocked. I see him going on in round 2. But I'll be honest, all 5 of those players by CBS, I just want you to keep in mind. So if if all 5 of these players are on the board, we have picks 80, 81, and 91 in round 3. So we're going to be active. I want you to tell me, though, out of these 5 players, which one you would have the highest on your board. So if you're going to go with Amik Robertson, type AR. If you're going to go Kyle Duggar, I want you to type KD. If you're going to go Lamar Jackson, LJ, Bradley and IBA, or Justin Matta, I want you to type JM. To find out who the Raiders draft on in the round 3, go ahead, subscribe to Chat Sports, our main channel. We're going to be live for all 7 rounds, analysis on every single pick. Here's a pro tip. We get the picks before you see them on television. So go ahead. You see the link below, youtube.com/chatsportstv. I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the comments. But if you like the Raiders report, you're going to love our draft coverage as well. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, bookmark it. I'll see you there. Let's talk about some news now. The Raiders examining other venues. Now, I'm not trying to give anyone a heart attack, okay? I still believe the Raiders will play all their home games in Vegas, but if worst case scenario happens, the Raiders need to start looking at other contingency plans, because if construction is put on hold, you have to start looking at other places, right? I mean, that's just the world we live in right now. Now, I don't expect, and neither of the Raiders expect, that the grand opening gets pushed back, but I want you to just think about the past a little bit. Remember when we had this situation where we didn't even know if we were going to go to Vegas, right? If we were going to play another season in Oakland. So I went back, I did some digging, and 3 cities that we talked about potentially playing it in 2020. Salt Lake City, Utah. It's where the Utah Utes play their college football games. Phoenix, Arizona, and then San Diego, California. So these were 3 cities I just want you to keep in mind, okay? San Diego, maybe we could finally give them a team. Just saying. Maybe the fans there would actually appreciate it. So worst case scenario, though, okay? Like, worst case scenario, we get pushed back the deadlines. Maybe the Raiders don't play any home preseason games. Let's say it might get a little bit worse then, right? Maybe the regular season's finally here. Then all of our road games, we play early on in the year, just pushing back the home days. And then let's say we're like, man, we got to fit in the bye. Maybe we got to play another home game in a country like Mexico City, like London, things that we've all done before. Now, I'll say it again. I do expect the Raiders to be there week 1, and I hope this whole Big C thing gets away. But I do think that it's important to note that the Raiders are starting to look at other venues just in case this Big C situation does get a little bit worse. So while I was filming this video, we did have some news come across the desk. This one's from Scott Bair. Some transactions that happened. The Raiders, they reunite with tight end Paul Butler. He's a PSAC guy. Shout out to the PSAC. Claimed him off waivers from Detroit. And quarterback Nathan Peterman, David Sharpe, both signed their restricted free agent tenders. You're looking at about $2 million a piece there for Peterman and Sharpe. And then our exclusive rights free agents, Daniel Carlson, the kicker, DJ Killings, Dallin Leavitt. They're going to add a little bit of depth there in the secondary. But out of all those signings, I want you to let me know which one stands out to you the most. And if you made it to the very, very end of this video, I appreciate you. And I can't do another YouTube video on Friday, unfortunately. I'll already have one coming out. But I am going to do an Instagram Live. So if you want to come hang out with me, give me a follow on Instagram at MitchellRenz365. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this, I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.